Rain misted over the small town's only garage, the one that smelled of oil, metal, and forgotten dreams. The sign above it flickered, Mitch's Customs, a place where engines roared louder than words, and where men came to fix more than just bikes. That day, though, something unusual happened. Mitch didn't hear the familiar rumble of engines or the banter of bikers. Instead, he heard the faint laughter of a little girl. She couldn't have been more than 10, skinny arms, messy braids, wearing an oversized jacket that swallowed her whole. She stood beside a Harley Davidson, one of Mitch's prized rebuilds, holding a wrench almost as big as her arm. At first, he thought she was just some kid wandering in from the street. But when she started fiddling with the bike side panel, pretending to fix it, he froze, not out of anger, but because of what hung around her neck. It wasn't the laughter that stopped him. It was the necklace, a small, silver wing pendant, the same one his daughter used to wear before she and her mother disappeared years ago. Mitch stepped forward slowly, his breath catching in his throat. "Hey, kid," he said, his voice trembling in a way it hadn't in a long time. "Where'd you get that necklace?" The girl blinked up at him, a little startled, her hand instinctively clutching the pendant. "My mom gave it to me," she said softly. "Said it belonged to someone who loved Harleys more than anything." His heart stopped. He had given that pendant to his daughter when she was 5. It was supposed to be their lucky charm, and now, 10 years later, it was dangling from the neck of a stranger. He sank to one knee, searching her face for the faintest trace of familiarity, the curve of a cheek, the dimple when she smiled, the same blue-gray eyes that once looked up at him and said, "Daddy, I want to ride one too." He hadn't seen those eyes in almost a decade, and now they were staring right back at him. Mitch didn't know what to do. Every memory he'd buried beneath grease and gasoline came flooding back, the fights, the stormy night his wife left, the unanswered letters, the guilt that had eaten him alive ever since. But this little girl didn't know. "Where's your mom, kid?" Mitch asked carefully, his voice trembling as if afraid the answer might shatter him. The little girl looked around the dusty garage, her eyes darting to the open door where the rain fell harder now. "She went to talk to someone at the diner," she said, her tone innocent, unknowing. "She said to wait here and not talk to strangers." Mitch smiled faintly, his chest tightening. "Guess I'm that stranger then, huh?" She grinned. "You don't seem scary. You fix bikes. Scary people don't fix bikes." He wanted to laugh, but something caught in his throat. He turned away, wiping grease from his hands, though they were already clean. Could it really be? His mind raced. Could this be her, my daughter's kid? Or, "Hey," the girl said, walking up beside him. "You okay?" He looked down, trying to find the words. "You said your mom gave you that necklace?" She nodded, holding it up again. "Yeah. She said it used to be my grandpa's, or belonged to someone who was supposed to be." The world went silent for a moment. The rain outside, the humming of machines, everything faded. Mitch leaned on the workbench, staring at the worn metal surface like it could give him answers. "What's your mom's name, sweetheart?" he asked finally. "Sarah," she said. The wrench slipped from his hand and hit the floor with a loud clang. Sarah, that was his daughter's name. Before he could say another word, the door to the garage opened. A woman stood there, her hair damp from the rain, her coat too big for her, eyes wide as if she'd seen a ghost. She froze the moment her gaze met his. "Mitch," she whispered. He almost didn't believe it. The years had changed her, but it was her. His little girl, all grown up. "Sarah," he breathed, stepping forward, his voice barely a whisper. You're really here?" For a moment, neither of them spoke. The rain filled the silence between them, washing away a decade of distance. Tears brimmed in Sarah's eyes as she looked down at her daughter, then back at him. "I didn't know if you'd still be here," she said quietly. "Didn't know if you'd even want to see me." Mitch shook his head, his voice breaking. "I've been waiting every day since you left." The little girl looked between them, confused. "Mom? What's going on?" Sarah knelt, wrapping an arm around her daughter. "Sweetheart, this is your grandfather." The girl's eyes widened, then slowly filled with understanding. She looked at the old man with the kind eyes, the one who had watched her play with his Harley without anger. "You're my grandpa?" she asked softly. Mitch's knees gave way, and he crouched to her level, tears spilling freely. "Yeah, kid," he whispered, smiling through the pain. "I guess I am." The girl reached out and touched his cheek, small, innocent, and warm. "Then, I guess I did fix something after all." Mitch laughed, a deep, broken laugh that turned into a sob. "Yeah, you did," he said. "You fixed a lot more than you know." Sarah stepped closer, hesitating for a second before pulling him into a hug, the first in 10 long, empty years. The scent of oil, rain, and home filled the air again. Outside, the rain began to fade. The clouds broke just enough to let the sun spill through, lighting up the Harley's chrome tank where the little girl had touched it. The silver wing pendant caught the light too, shining like a memory reborn, and for the first time in years, Mitch didn't feel broken. Sometimes, life sends you a miracle disguised as a child with a wrench and a laugh, and sometimes, a Harley isn't the only thing worth fixing. Would you like me to expand this version into a full 100-minute YouTube narration script, with pacing, sound cues, and scene transitions for storytelling? It would turn this into a cinematic emotional journey. Sarah stayed quiet for a long while after the rain stopped, sitting with her daughter and Mitch on the old wooden bench outside the garage. The scent of wet asphalt and motor oil lingered in the air, the smell of home Mitch had long thought he'd never share again. He watched his daughter closely, afraid that if he blinked, she'd vanish like she had before. The little girl Emily swung her legs restlessly, humming to herself and playing with the pendant. "Mom," she finally said, "you never told me Grandpa fixed bikes. You said he was a hero." Sarah smiled faintly, eyes glistening. "He was," she said. "He just got lost for a while." Mitch's voice was soft. "Guess we both did."